Hello there. What is going on, everyone? Double Critical Podcast episode number 4. Today, we're going to be talking about terrain, and you're getting a double feature because we're also going to be talking about Lando Calrissian. That's right. This is a wish list podcast, and we're going to be talking about wish lists and things, and just kind of speculation, things we like, things we don't like. Joining me is Sean, prehistoric Sean. How you doing, man?
Doing good, buddy.
All right.
Been a different little time right now.
It is a different time. We've had a lot of time to really kind of get caught up on painting. I know you've been doing a lot of that, right?
Yes, I've been mass producing some units for Warhammer, and I did a few videos here and there for 40K, and I got some bigger units.
You did a clone video as well.
Yes, I did my clone video as well. I finally got that out. Sarastro beat me to it, so I was like, crap.
Go check out. Yeah, I'm gonna put and I usually have links, but definitely check out Sean's channel. He did a really good job. Like, his clones are awesome. They're really awesome looking.
Thank you.
Yeah,
they're actually for a simple black and white with orange. They're fun to paint. So
yeah, no doubt. I enjoy doing the clones. I was tempted to buy some more, but I stripped off some Rebel Troopers. I went back to some of my first minis, and I stripped those off, and I'm gonna repaint those maybe this weekend. I'll work on that a little bit.
I've always toyed with that idea of stripping my models and revisiting, but I'm okay with my hey, this is how bad I was, see the progression.
It's easier for me to do that with a core set unit like Stormtroopers or Rebel Troopers, because when the game was new, we didn't have much, so I bought 3 core sets, right? And so I've got lots of Rebel Troopers. I got lots of Stormtroopers, right? And so I can afford, because even if I don't get around to repainting them anytime soon, when am I going to run 6 Rebel Troopers, right?
Yep.
Especially when we've got Fleet Troopers and we've got Rebel Veterans and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Granted, I would love to. I'm one of the few people, I do think about running 6 Rebel Troopers because I love the Z6, and that's the cheapest way to get 6 Z6s out there.
It is.
Yeah. But I am a kind of a chaos player, and I love the idea. It's dude, I could roll 6 crits from just a Z6, and so
there's always a chance.
there's always the chance to roll a double critical. We've done and it's funny because talking about double critical, if you guys didn't already know, I've been running with the Stab Cast and the 5th Trooper and the High Marshal for Legion. We've been doing Recover the Supplies, which has been a lot of fun show. Yeah, it's been really fun. It's basically an Edge of the Empire Star Wars RPG session, and so that much is pretty fun. It's mostly Edge of the Empire. I'm doing a Force and Destiny character.
Well, I mean, it's the settings the Wild West kind of feature, so it still works.
Yeah, but Sean, you got me into the RPG, and I love it. Yeah, I really enjoy it.
Systems. It is.
It's worked out really well during quarantine, self-containment. I wonder if people are going to listen to this a year from now and be like, "What the hell were they talking? Oh, I remember that time."
Yep, those dark days.
Yeah. So, but no, that much is fun. I've been still doing a lot of little projects, things that I haven't been done in a while, and I'm thinking about maybe working on some more terrain, which kind of brings me to today's thing. So the first half of what we're talking about today is terrain. So one of the first, the first thing about terrain that I want to talk about, because this is the double critical, we talk about what would be awesome, what would be cool, wish lists and speculating. I'm going to talk about terrain packs that Fantasy Flight has been producing for Legion, right? What have we seen so far? We've seen the bunker.
The crash escape pod.
The crash escape pod, right? And then with the
combo pack.
Yeah, it was a combo.
And the crashed ATST.
Right. And out of all of those, I think the downed ATST was probably... Well, I know, actually, technically, there was one more, the Barricades pack.
There's a Barricades pack?
Yeah, when the core set launched, they also would sell dice.
Okay, yeah.
There's technically a Barricades pack. And I guess technically the other Battlefield expansion was with the little moisture evaporators and all.
Yeah.
So So let's talk about terrain, right? Because like some of these were great, some of these were awful, and I still get them all because I enjoy terrain. I don't like the price tag that always comes with it. But out of all of the terrain that they released, and I guess the next one coming out, which has already come out in some places, is Vital Assets.
Yep, I'm excited about that one because that's going to be. What I think is that I think FFG has to do with these terrain packs is they have to incorporate a game aspect to it because I think legalese kind of stuff like if you don't see anything without a mission added to it, it's not just like War or Games Workshop because hey, here's a bunch of ruined trees. And they give you that. I don't think FFG can do that.
You've got to have it. It's got to be because I seem to remember somebody saying something about it's like their licenses for a game and not for just straight up terrain, right? And so and honestly, even if they could just make straight up terrain, wouldn't it make more sense to say, hey, you can get this terrain? It also comes with an extra card that you can run a special mission on. Also, because then you're just getting more value, and more people will buy it that way. Anyway, I'm not one who's big on like the custom missions, right? Like we haven't
played one. I think.
Well, we play tested.
We played tested the ATSD.
Yeah,
and then
we did.
I think we played it raw, and I ended up losing real bad.
Yeah, I don't know. We can't go into like pre-play test. But I think well, since you let the cat away, we did screw up at least the first time. But that happens. That's part of but we do things wrong and all the time, right?
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah, but yeah, so
you can pick up stuff, right?
Right, but outside of that, like it was just it's something to do just for fun. But usually when I'm playing for fun, I like to play in a competitive sense.
Yes,
like I want to play at an 800 point. Most of the time, I want to play at an 800 point. I want to play as if I were playing in a tournament, but with a friendly mindset. So
I mean, how many times hey, you do this, I do that.
Yeah, like I'll I'll play casually, but at the same time, I don't want to play by a different set of rules, right?
Right. No, I got you.
Yeah, and I think we both. Yeah, you certainly do. Yeah, but a lot of people are like that. But then again, some people are more casual, and so I think that a terrain set that's coming with custom objectives and missions and stuff like that are just strictly casual. There's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, absolutely, and I think it kind of leads into some of the things like people that might want to make their own campaigns or their own scenarios. This gives them the option to make some really cool, especially for stores. Like, hey guys, we're running this bunker, and if you do this and the ATS, it's a kind of domino effect where you have a cool thing to look at the stores, and those set pieces are great. Bunker
it's not
nice
bad.
Looking,
it's nice looking, but the price point was. I mean, what was it like? Was it like 70? 80 bucks, like
$79.99.
That was obscene. I'm sorry, but that was just an obscene price, and I get that it's a really nice piece and it's hard plastic and all of that, but I just didn't see. It didn't seem like it was worth it to me. I could have had 5 of those 3D printed. I could have commissioned somebody to do that for cheaper, way cheaper.
Somewhere in here, to my right, I have I think it right here. I have the Escape Crash Pod.
Oh, yeah.
So C-3PO and R2-D2 are out. I've not done anything with it.
That one's a pain in the butt to put together, too.
I heard. So
it looks nice, though. At least and that's the thing. At least the Escape Crash Pod you got some units with, right? So that was a win.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas the bunker was a
cop out in a way, though, too, because I have to buy the terrain to get the units, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe they'll release them separately at some point. Oh, that would probably I don't know. I don't want a wish list for that. Because that's just going to make people upset. Look, I don't think that's the way to go. I don't think you want to put. I think if you're going to put stuff that competitive players are going to need or want or desire, basically, if you're going to do stuff that's going to be legal in tournaments, you need to put it into cheaper packs.
Yeah. So
Battlefield supplies, vital assets, those are lower priced, and those are giving you stuff that huge. I think vital assets is probably going to be the number one biggest impact of any of these Battlefield expansions. And
I absolutely agree. It's going to make the game so much. Granted, the game's going to feel new because I haven't got to play in a bit, and I cannot handle TTS at all or tabletop simulator.
Mm-hmm.
So like coming back, like the game's going to feel new. And on top of that, with the vital assets, it's just going to be like a new era of Legion.
Yeah. Well, if you can't handle, and for you guys listening at home, if you can't handle TTS,
Oh, yeah.
if that's not something that works for you, one option I have up on Crabbok.com is the Legion AI system, and actually I have a 1.1, like an updated version of that, that might even be up by the time this podcast goes up. So definitely check out Crabbok.com. And that's going to be it's just a card-driven AI. Now, granted, it's not a super smart AI, but if you don't want to just play solitaire, if you want to just do your own, like I want to just do what the cards tell me to do. You're going to draw a card. It's going to tell you what unit to, you're going to draw a card. It's going to tell you what the unit does, and you're going to follow that specific system. And some people will probably prefer, an AI that does, tells them what to do. And it's not the smartest thing. So you can play at a handicap. You can give the AI 900 points. Or even 1,000 points if you want to try that, so there's a lot that's going into that, and I'm updating it with some of the rules for some lessons learned. I've gotten a lot of feedback. I had initially planned to release this much later after a lot more playtesting, but due to COVID-19 and all of that, I just said let's just get it out there now so people can so people have something. Because what good is it going to do to release that in 3 months? When the world's open again, or hopefully,
Yeah, I think so.
So all right, so
actually, so I want to say AI effects. I actually have some terrain ideas with that if you want to talk about it.
Okay. Well, let's.
I
have one. I have one train of thought. Now I've kind of got off, but no, yeah. Let's go. I'm gonna jump back into the FFG thing here in a minute. But go ahead. What AI effects?
All right. So AI effects. You're doing the AI thing. We're talking about terrain. Mm-hmm. What about terrain that involves AI in the sense of, my specific idea is like you have a ice cave. Is the FFG produces an ice cave. With that ice cave comes a Wampa miniature. Okay. And you have to, say like if you move around it, you roll dice or like roll white dice, and if you get two ink, the Wampa comes out, and now it is run by an AI system. Now the Wampa attacks or like does things off that.
I love it. I absolutely, and I think there's a lot you can do. I know that there has been there's some like neutral expansions I've seen floating around, like Sand People and things like that. I love that actually, and I don't want to go too far into that because I know one of the episodes I want to do for Double Crit is as a creatures. Oh yeah, I want to do. I want to talk. I almost have a whole episode planned to kind of talk about creatures. But you've tapped into it, and I think it has some tie-in here. On like that they could do creatures with a habitat-based expansion that would be probably something more casual. I don't see creatures being tournament legal.
I want them to be though, because this looks really cool.
It does. Well, and maybe there's 2 sets of rules.
Oh,
maybe you run, maybe you run a creature, like that. If you're going to run it in a tournament list, you have to have like a creature handler. So maybe it'll come with like a handler. So, and if the creature handler dies, the creature like runs, so it panics or something like that. But optionally, if you want to run it for the thematic way tied to the terrain piece, you can run its habitat, and maybe that then it follows an AI system and it's triggered that way. And that could be a way for you to be incentivized to buy multiples of the same thing, like multiple Sarlacc pits, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And you're gonna have a Sarlacc field. Oh,
dude, a Sarlacc could be amazing.
A field of Sarlaccs, right?
Oh,
well, maybe let's say you buy 3 of them. Right.
Maybe do different sizes, like one big one, little baby ones, and
I think they would only make. I don't think they're gonna make multiple Sarlaccs. Yeah, I think they'll probably make one Sarlacc, and like in case some crazy person like me wants to go buy 3 of them, and then we'll set up a table with all 3. But
you've been to Galaxy's Edge, right?
I mean, yeah, briefly, yes. I want to go again, but not recently.
Never seen it. Do you remember in the one like Jedi store they had like the diagram of the Sarlacc and the tentacles are spinning to make make it look alive?
Yes. Oh my! And you can see all the roots
motorized,
too.
Like a terrain piece, like the tentacles are spinning.
No, that's really cool. So we also all right. So I love the idea of the creatures. And we are going to talk about FFG's, like, what would they release next, right? Like,
All right.
so here's my thought. I want an AT-AT.
Yeah, I know you do.
Like, so I kind of want to talk about that, but like, what else could they do? Like, because here's the problem with FFG releasing terrain. It was primarily, I think, too little, too late. Right?
Yeah.
Everything that they've come out with, I feel like it's come out too late. I mean, obviously the expansions that come with new mission command cards, objective cards, deployment cards, etc. Like those cards are great, and the pieces that go with them, you know, but it's the cards that are great. So like I love those packs. But there's like the Imperial Bunker, before Legion even came out, there were a wealth of Imperial bunkers. Because
Okay. Yeah.
like Battle Kiwi, I think. I hope that's the name. I hope. But is something Kiwi? I apologize if I'm getting the name wrong. Please don't sue me. But like there was a wood. They had a Kickstarter. There was like a whole Endor set.
Okay. Yeah. No,
yeah.
I have no idea about those. Like,
Yeah. I saw a link for the Kickstarter. I couldn't afford it at the time, so yeah. But there's a lot of MDF bunkers out there, and then there's also 3D printed bunkers out there, and they're all way cheaper than the Imperial bunker. But also crashed ATSTs. As soon as the ATST itself came out, people were buying extras of those and crashed like the first Gen Con. Yeah, the first Gen Con tournament, there were so many, like, FFG had, like, I guess they had a lot of extra ATSTs, so, like, I think, there were so many crashed ATSTs that were, like, home-built or custom-built on those tournament tables. I'm like, they're all over the place, and you're like, it's the same problem they have with the paints, right?
Yeah, that was too little too late as well. I absolutely agree.
So I guess my question is, where can FFG go from here if they want to continue to release Battlefield expansions, which are usually terrain-based? I feel like the AT-AT is a way that they can... Granted, a lot of people are already running AT-ATs, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
we had one in the primes we went to.
Exactly. We've run a couple. We've run them on my table.
Oh, yeah. We had one on your table.
Right. But it's the Wizards of the Coast one. It works, but
the scale looks good.
It looks okay. It's a little small, but yeah. So what can FFG do there? Maybe they can make the AT-AT playable. I don't know. I don't know. Right.
See, like every time I think like I do want an AT-AT. Don't get me wrong; it's such an iconic unit.
Of course.
Like every time I think of it, like on the battlefield, like is this like half the battlefield is the AT-AT? This looks down.
I think that I don't think it is. Here's the thing. Here's what I think. I think the one that I've got isn't too big. It's not too big, but it's a little smaller than it should be because it's scaled appropriately for Imperial Assault. And so it's like 28 millimeter versus like 32 millimeters. So it needs to be at least 15% bigger than that, I think. Maybe 20% bigger.
Good. So like I think that's the scale you want to go with.
Yeah, it's like well, if we go any bigger, it might be harder to move. Maybe it's something that doesn't move, or maybe they just do the terrain piece. So I don't want to go into too much of like what would the dice be on an AT-AT or anything like that. But what if they just decided to treat it like a terrain piece? They could easily work out a mission for it, like capture the abandoned AT-AT. Right?
Okay.
Both sides are trying to get to the cockpit first.
One that's standing?
I think you could, the way they're building the miniatures, you could build it standing, or if they put hinges on the legs, you could build it however you want.
Yeah, that's true.
And I could see people buying lots of those. Here's the thing, like a lot of the tables that you see with AT-ATs on them, some people are using the popcorn buckets that Disney had. Those are too small. They're smaller than the Wizards of the Coast one, and they're kind of cool, but I just don't think they look right. The big AT-ATs that look great are the old Hasbro ones, the toys, or the Kenner.
The Kenner stuff.
Yeah. So all of those are awesome, but there's only so many of those. They don't make those anymore, right? So people are buying them up from Goodwills and stuff, and then cutting them up, melting them.
The troop transport one.
The troop transports?
Yeah, they're re-releasing those.
Oh. Well, I mean, I'm sure they'll re-release the AT-ATs at some point too. But the thing is, they're expensive, and although if FFG released an AT-AT, it would be like $7,000 because if the bunker,
$150 at least,
probably. It depends on, honestly, I think it depends on what they include with it. I could see it being like a Super Star Destroyer level, like
See,
maybe.
that's what I'm thinking.
I
Superstars.
but if they're gonna do that, I think it's got to have. This is a really tough one. It's got to have something else with it, and
Oh, but okay. So here's the thing, though. It can't be anything that's game changing because then you put a
wait.
high point cost on a competitive item. That's getting back in like those weird
No,
Armada X days.
I won't say it can't be anything that's game changing, but I'll say it
Okay.
probably won't be anything that's game changing. I think because they did that once upon a time, like when in X-wing they released the Tanta V4, the Corellian Corvette, and they put like awesome cards in. The Raider had Emperor Palpatine, $100, but people you couldn't use it in tournaments, so people were buying it just to get Emperor Palpatine. It was $100 upgrade card, and if there's like an upgrade card or like some unit, then people are going to be like, all right, I'm spending $200 for one upgrade card.
So what about not upgrade cards, but alternate models? Like you get an AT-AT and you get Hoth Luke because he's the one did his little like dig the hole in the thing or like you things
Very
like that.
great idea. I was thinking slightly differently, but you like your idea way better. Hoth Luke is a really cool idea. Maybe multiple poses for him too. You can have him on the ground with the lightsaber, or you can have him climbing.
Yeah,
Right.
With a little
With the
grappling hook.
Yeah. It's a freaking have him in a pose where you can run a string through his hand, so you can have him climbing, but he also works if he's standing.
Like the old GI Joe toys with the parachutes.
Exactly like the old G.I. Joe's used. Oh my gosh, yes. So no, I was gonna say,
Okay.
you put something else. If you're gonna spend $200 or whatever, put an ATST in there also.
I'll make it a double pack. Same
Yeah,
price?
you're gonna have two.
I mean,
Well, here's why. My guess is based on how, like I was talking earlier, like they probably have a lot of ATSTs, right? Because it was expensive already. They might have a whole lot of those just sitting around. So they're like, hey, what are we gonna do with all these? Well, we can throw them into this other pack to maybe to make them sell a little bit more. People might feel like they're getting a better value. You could make it an alternate sculpt ATST. I mean,
I would do
it's
that though.
I don't know how. Maybe you could just put some alternate weapon things that can go on there. Some different affix, some different hard point looking things, or maybe you just put spikes on it or something. No, probably not. But I mean, it's just saying like maybe something like that. But ATST is probably not the best idea because they're uniform, right? So it really shouldn't be.
I mean, the one even in the one in Mandalorian. Spoiler alerts. There was an spoiler alert. Blah 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 blah.
Yes.
ATST in Mandalorian had different lights and a paint job. So that was the
exactly. I guess one thing you could do is put like a miniature for the dude that's climbing out of the top hatch.
Oh, okay, that'd be cool. That could be cool.
Yeah, you could have that mini in there, and this way it's just just for looks, just for aesthetics. But that's an option. But you need stuff like that. You need I could
So
see.
it's not really terrain though. It's more just like unit modification pack. But like as aesthetic modification pack. I guess we're talking about.
Sure, but you could have a whole bunch of bonus. Like if you're spending $200 on a pack, you should get a whole lot of swag with this pack. Other things that could come in there, other stuff that's from the Battle of
Crash Snow Speeder.
A crashed snow speeder is a fantastic idea. That's a great idea. I love it. And also, I would say some maybe destroyed turrets from the Battle of Hoth. Look, you've got the FD turret. How about that Golan arms turret or whatever and you have that and that one like that has the door that opens up. Another mini can go in there and use it, right? We were talking about this in another episode of Double Critical, right?
Usable emplacement stuff. Yeah,
usable emplacements. Maybe it works in the scenario for the 8. Maybe it only works in that scenario because
that could be okay. See, there we go. Yeah, that could work. The AT. Yeah, that could work really well.
Yeah,
I like that.
That's a cool. And make the scenario. Oh, here you go. Make the scenario specific for a 6x4 table for Grand Armies.
Yeah, Grand Army only. Yeah.
And I would price it at a point where you could run 2 ATST. I'm sorry, AT-ATs. I think I've probably said ATST a couple of times where I meant to say AT-AT. So I'm going to just use Walker for the rest of the.
What we call the Chicken Walker is the.
That's the Chicken Walker. Yeah, the Chicken Walker is the Scout Walker, but the Imperial Walker, the all-terrain armored transport. Oh man, you know what? The Empire is really screwing me up with their nomenclature right now, and I shouldn't have as hard a time with this as I am right now. But it's
just had a course and acronyms like we did in the military.
Yeah.
We're bad at course acronyms.
I'm having an ID10T problem right now. All right, so
Dun, dun.
yeah, so FFG packs, right? Like, I think if they're gonna do stuff, like the trend has been they've kind of been behind the curve on a
Yeah.
lot of stuff. Even an AT-AT would still be a little bit behind the curve, but they might be able to market it in such a way that it gives something new. Maybe people will want it.
Okay, so if we're talking about jumping ahead of the curve, something that I haven't seen as often, I think I've seen a little bit of it, and this kind of goes into your Gungans as well, is transparent shields, where you have
Since
like
they can do that acrylic now, right?
exactly acrylic shields.
Oh,
So like you have like we talked about this with War Corgi, the deployable shield bubble, and like things like that. It has episode 2.
Oh,
We
man.
talked about
Yeah.
shield bubbles. We could talk about the Bombas with their giant shields around the Gungans.
Yeah, I think if they ever do Gungans, I don't know if they'll send. They're not going to give you like a giant fishbowl, right? But what if?
I get to see it.
Yeah, maybe they came out with.
$39.99.
What if they came out with an aesthetics pack that has things like, shit like that's.
I would buy it.
Yeah,
I would have bought an
they
aesthetics pack.
wouldn't be able to do an aesthetics pack on its own though, because it's probably one of those things that are not licensed to make accessories, only game pieces. So it would have to have some kind of game cards in it, and that's fine.
That's fair.
Look,
I mean,
they've already. I was gonna say they've already done an upgrade card pack, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They could do the upgrade card pack volume 2 that comes with the aesthetics pack, because maybe it's like shield generators and things like that. Maybe they put extra flight stands in the aesthetics pack also.
There you go. So it's a card pack, but yeah, that's a great way to do it.
And you put the cards in there that deal with the shields and the flight stands and all this stuff that aesthetics would matter for. You put those cards in there, so this way they go together naturally. And that's okay. We're not. That's kind of off of terrain a little bit, but it's adjacent.
No, it can't because like
it's close enough.
Or whatever. Well, whatever the one that came with the moisture evaporators, I forgot the name of it.
No, it was It was the first Battlefield expansion, so I think we just called it. Oh, I think we just called it Battlefield expansion, but
no, it's Battlefield. Like, it is something Battlefield. Whatever.
Supplies.
I don't care. Battlefield supply. Was it
Priority supplies? I think it was priority supply.
I think
it was
priority.
Yes, it's priority supplies. Okay.
Priority supplies.
People are listening to this at home and they're like,
functionally-
these morons don't even know what the expansion is called. Didn't they do their research? I'm like, well, I did some research, but I wasn't expected to talk about priority supply.
So priority supplies is technically, it's literally terrain because those are all supposed to be replaced by flat tokens.
Yeah,
They're not supposed to
exactly.
block the other side or anything like that.
That was something I was going to mention before. I'm glad you brought it back because you can't actually use the moisture evaporator as a piece of terrain because it's game wise it's treated as a flat. Exactly. So
I mean, so they have a precedent to say, hey, this can be like this, but here's the pretty version.
Sure.
So
all right, I want to move on a little bit, still terrain related, but we were talking about like doors that would open a little bit. We saw some of this with some of those early battle reports we were trying to do. I was trying to build like a fortress and like you can do an action to open the door. Well, they kind of beat us to that. Yeah, they did. They beat us to that because the bunker, the scenario that comes with the bunker, you can have somebody open the door or close the door.
Really? Yeah. Actually, like I haven't even paid attention to the bunker, so I didn't know that.
Most people aren't going to buy the bunker, but yeah, there's the card in there. Like you're trying to go into the bunker and plant the explosives, and so like you can like close the door once you go inside, and so that's kind of cool.
Free action to open the door?
No, I think it's a full blown action.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
sorry. It's a reference to their old interior game.
So I know I'm going to talk about that too, but I want to talk about dynamic terrain. Terrain that you can do things with. I had an idea at one point for when I wanted to do really, really big, huge pieces of terrain, and I tried one of these one time. It didn't work, but like elevators, right? That you can spend an action to interact, just like you would normally with an objective, but you can interact with terrain, and you probably need a different keyword for it because. I think interacting with terrain is not as game important as interacting with objectives. And so if in theory you wanted like Wookiees or some nature unit to be able to interact with terrain a little bit more, that could maybe be an upgrade. They can do it as a free action or something like that, but you wouldn't want them to interact with objectives for free. But maybe you push a button that raises an elevator. Or then you push the same button again, it lowers the elevator. So now you've got like now big units can now climb, right? Because they're not technically climbing. You're just walking your ATST onto this huge industrial elevator, and then having a unit push the button, it moves up to the next level. Now it can move around up there. But like I would love to see stuff like that. Now creating something like that is, it's probably a job for somebody like the Terrain Studio, Sean Morris, right? Like with all the amazing stuff that he puts together.
Well, the problem, so I love that idea of like, I actually have a few ideas I'll throw at you. The one I have like with that elevator, like if you're going with like industrial size elevator, that means that the ATSC has to be at a lower elevation, which makes it kind of like it puts it out of the game for a little like a few turns.
Well, I'm thinking of it something for it to raise it up to level 2, right? Like now your ATSC is at like height 1, right? So now it can really see everything,
Okay.
Yeah, but I would like to see more things like that. But or doors that open and close, maybe a trash compactor.
What about drawbridges or like bridges that fall, like they can fall down or go up? So you can say, "Hey, I'm going to cut the power," so that way it draws back up.
Yeah,
and the opponent can either not come across, or they have to use an action to drop that back down.
Or they, with the proliferation of jump through jetpacks and more Jedi.
Oh, yeah, that would make that much more popular.
Right.
Ooh, I like. See,
so,
yeah.
So here's the thing. So we got silhouettes recently, right?
Oh, yeah.
So if we see more interactive terrain, maybe we'll see like one of the things I'd also like to see is more up like higher, taller and taller. Like I mentioned the Terrain Studio, they're working on a Kashyyyk build right now, right? And so he's doing this huge tree. It's really cool. But what if you are playing like a very vertical game, right? We've done some. I got some terrain where we go pretty high.
That the one like multiple like build thing you did.
Yeah.
The last few ones, yeah.
Exactly. So let's just say I'm shooting down, right? And let's say like from where my mini is, if my mini is directly over your mini or almost directly above it, and I'm trying to shoot down, like there exists a case where I might not actually be able to see your mini. But since I have to put the silhouette behind him, I'm like, oh well, I can see the silhouette. I'm like that's gonna be an interesting like. Now, I don't think that's even an issue for competitive tournaments because nobody's running like a building, right?
Right.
I just finished playing Doom Eternal. There's a lot of like destroyed like city buildings, right? Kind of like how a lot of the Warhammer terrain is, right?
It's all brute buildings and skulls.
Yeah, exactly. So like this skyscraper, this abandoned skyscraper, you're likely to have people directly above or below each other, maybe multiple tiers of that. You don't really see that in tournaments for Legion. That's just not the way the tournament terrain is generally done. But what if it was at some point? That's a situation that like the silhouette thing might be a problem. So that's something to consider. I don't know.
It could be it could be a unique thing though. Like where I was actually thinking, like if you want to talk about vertical terrain and something that I haven't seen as often is Ewok villages. Like you have like trees, and then you have big game planks and catwalks where you and you know what that'd be. You know what I can see below me because it's freaking wood. I can shoot down and blow it apart.
Yeah. And here's the thing: if I'm shooting down at you, and the rules say I'm supposed to put the silhouette behind the miniature, right? But if I'm shooting straight down, isn't behind technically underneath you? Right? How does that work? I don't even.
Okay, yeah, that's.
Then it gets really weird. I think. Hey, look. That's the point where we just say, what makes sense? Yep. What makes sense here? What is reasonable? Let's not try and break the system. And if you're in a tournament and that happens, just call a judge. I'm like, what do you make a ruling?
So okay, so you're talking about verticality, and it's not entirely with terrain, but. Wouldn't it be cool? This is something because I play Warcry, and they have a rule where basically you can like jump and land, and that kind of gives you advantage. Where if you had a Wookiee warriors who jumped off like a vertical building and like land into a bunch of stormtroopers, and they got like put the axes down. So it's an RPG moment. Like, can I roll athletics to jump off this building and get a bonus to my attack because I'm coming at them, kind of thing? Like
I saw somebody homebrewed something like when you finish jump, like there's a chance that that something can happen, right? Or right. I'm like oh, that's an interesting idea. Like somebody was like, I think it was on Facebook where somebody put like right after the silhouettes went live, everybody was like flooding the Legion Facebook.
A hot topic.
It was a very hot topic. It was hotter than I expected it to be, and a lot more divisive than I expected it to be.
Maybe it's because we pay attention to podcasts, and they've been talking like we've had like this suggestion for a while.
Some
so,
people
like,
may not have known what was coming. That's true.
Exactly.
They were fairly transparent about the general idea of what was coming as opposed to the exact dimensions.
Yeah.
But it was, I mean, everybody kind of said, "Oh, hey, Alex Davey plays Infinity, and here's how it is in Infinity."
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, that gave you a lot of like, and I didn't know exactly what they were doing, but from everything that they had said, and like you could put two and two together. So. And the thing is, like, if you're most of the people complaining are like, no, I can't even play my casual games anymore. I'm like, you don't have to use that for. The only time, like, even in your and my games, when we try to play tournament, like, I think the only time we're gonna do that is like when it's like, dude, it's close. I don't know. All right, let's use it.
So,
or if R2 is hiding behind a barricade, right?
Yeah. And like even then, I would rely on the side. Well, I can't see him. I can't see. Like
Oh no! I'm shooting R2. You're not hiding R2 behind a barricade anymore.
Fair.
See
how I feel bad because like it's one of the reasons. Like I mean, I was one of those like I didn't like to run Wookiees, or Luke because they can be seen so much easier, and like it's a feels bad moment where you're like, I have this cool unit that can do so much, but they get taken off beforehand because they have a cool pose.
Right. And then another thing is I heard a story. I don't know. I've heard jokes about it, but I think it started. I think somebody at one point like made a stormtrooper squadron of all the kneeling guys or something like that, just so that they would like,
modeling advantage. That's I know that well with Warhammer.
But you're not modeling it if that's the official model, right? Like, and so it's this really gray area, and it's just ugly. It's really ugly.
I absolutely agree with people that have also said like, this opens up
the customization, the hobbying.
Thank you. Yeah, hobbyist aspect. And now I can like my Moncals, I absolutely love them, but like now I don't feel bad running them because like they're gonna be the normal height.
I'm gonna get custom flight stands that are like 6 feet tall now, so it's gonna be no, absolutely. I'm gonna have like Luke Skywalker, and he's gonna have an aura of the Force, and it takes up like the whole board. I'm like, this is my mini. He's this big. All right. So yeah, like look, there's a lot of vertical stuff that could change things, and I did want to talk about the silhouettes a little bit because it's related to terrain. I want to touch on something else that we talked about in I think it was in one of the episodes with War Corgi. We were talking about the engineer to build terrain.
Yes.
So I want to talk about two things. I want to talk about destructible terrain that's designed to be like something like maybe. Something that you could, you shoot the bridge and it collapses and goes away, right? Like the ideas of terrain, and this isn't a specific piece or a product, but it's just more of like a rule set. Like, should there be some pieces of terrain that are destructible, either by blaster fire or by mines? We've got satchel charges, right? We've got all these bombs in the game. Let's have the bombs be able to, if something provides light cover, should we be able to destroy it? Why can't I blow up a tree in Legion, right? I mean, obviously, I know why, but what do you think?
Game mechanics. Like, I was a big fan of the Battlefield games for a long time, and that destructible environment was one of the coolest things because I can make a hole in the wall to see you. It's not like, okay, now I have to go around to the obvious spot. No. And in real combat, you don't always do the, like, go through the door. No, I blow a hole through the door.
Maybe that's just it. Maybe it's going to require a special type of unit, like maybe a satchel charge unit or somebody with C4 or something like that can specifically destroy pieces of terrain. Maybe for bigger pieces like a building, right? Yeah. Maybe they put a token next to it. Now there's a hole in there, so we can if it goes through this, within like it's hard to say. It's hard to say, like maybe within like a token's length of the hole. Basically you can ignore. You can treat it as it's not line of sight blocking.
Not line of sight, light cover, heavy cover. We kind of have in Armada. We have like the stations, which are neutral terrain features that have hit points or have hull points, I should say. Mm-hmm. And so maybe you like say, hey, if your terrain. I mean, this is maybe it's not official competitive rules, but like. If you have a building, it can have X amount of hull points or building points, and if you reach it, it becomes dangerous terrain. Or
that might be for a good condition card.
Oh yes,
like war-torn city or something like that, where like the buildings are all on the verge of collapse. You
Yes.
know?
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's the way to do it. And like, and always cool because like the idea of like, oh, if I blow up the floor, your guys fall down. Maybe you're forcing them to make a clamber
Hmm.
roll to see if anyone got hurt.
How? Oh my gosh! All right, so war torn city. Every building, like you divide things into size categories. Everything like barricades have maybe like 4 hit points each. They roll a red defense. Everything rolls a red defense die, right?
Right.
Except for like shrubberies and trees, maybe white defense die. But buildings like have 10 hit points each or whatever. Everything you destroy, you get victory points for.
Oh,
Buildings give you 3 victory points. Smaller things like 4 hit point items give you 1 victory point. And so now we're playing Rampage. You remember the arcade game Rampage where
I
you're
remember
trying to
Rampage.
punch down the buildings? No.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I mean, like,
Absolutely.
obviously, an idea like that requires some more refinement. But I'm just thinking,
Yeah.
right? This is part of what we do here.
Yeah, like, oh, but no, absolutely. I think you give an incentive to destroy things,
Yeah.
or no, it's assault the bunker. You have to destroy the enemy's bunker, and
Yeah. Maybe it's only we pick 2 pieces of terrain. You defend one, you attack the other.
yeah,
Oh, yeah. So now all of a sudden, like, oh, I don't have to worry about you coming over here and shooting my commander because you're probably going to be taking your shots on my base.
forces engagement and forces big engagements.
Yes, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
a really cool idea.
You'd have to, and I think like you would make it like where like satchel, like either like big ATSTs, satchel charge units do like they do +2 damage, I don't know, something like that.
Right.
You
Okay.
think of that? Yeah.
Last one, and it's related to destructible terrain. It's movable, repositionable terrain. Specifically, I don't think we're gonna get this right now, but I want something like this, and it's basically like an enhanced force push.
Okay.
Like Operative Vader's 1 pip, right?
Oh,
He lets you
okay.
pick somebody up and like put them on a different team. I always thought when the game was brand new, we were just still learning about it. I always thought that force push would have let you push somebody off a cliff. And I think we even played that one time, like one of our first games. I remember like taking Luke Skywalker and pushing somebody off a cliff. Maybe it wasn't against you. Maybe it was. I played it when the game was brand new. I played a couple other people, but now I play you the most probably. But I remember doing that.
Sorry, or I should say sorry, or hey, good.
No, I don't know. You looked at me like you didn't remember it, so I'm like, all right, well maybe it wasn't you. But I remember force pushing somebody off with Luke, and then it was like, oh, well, you dropped down, so you have to make a clamber roll because that's the only way you could get down.
That makes perfect sense. Like
Oh,
he
it
was
does.
like,
The only but I remember asking like the devs about it or something like that, and they're like, well, it'd be the same thing if you asked a judge at a tournament, can I push him off of there? I'm like, no, because force push is just a standard move, and a clamber isn't a standard move. So according to the rules, you can't do that. So instead of doing an errata on force push or something like that, come up with an advanced force push, right? Like a different force power.
Yeah,
Right.
force throw.
Yeah, or maybe just a more expensive version, like upgraded force push.
That makes it sound cool though. Like
Yeah, no, of course. So force explosion, or or force unleashed.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Yeah, but the idea is like for having progressively stronger force pushes, you could actually maybe force a unit to go off. But here's the thing, moving terrain. Right? And what I really want to see, and the simplest way to express this, is for Darth Vader to be able to pick up a barricade and chuck it at you, just the same way Vader throws small pieces of terrain at Luke in Empire Strikes Back. However, that sounds very simple in concept, but I think to do it is a lot more complicated. And here's one reason.
Like what counts as what you can throw.
Exactly.
It's like, can I throw everything, or is it like how do is this piece small enough? Well, it does an L shape. And I don't know if we can actually throw it.
So
I can see that being an argument.
one way to address that is just like you do at the beginning of every game. You could probably only throw small pieces of terrain, right? Yeah. And something that's small would be like range from like maybe a single tree to a barricade and everything in between, right? Something like that. Or obviously anything smaller than a barricade too. But nothing is big as like a hut or a small house. Nothing like that big.
We have a Preston for us, and you and me have played Marvel Infinity. What's it called?
Yeah, the Crisis Protocol.
it's protocol.
Yeah.
And they have throwing and moving units.
That's what gave.
Stuff.
Well, I've had the idea before that, but that's one thing that
Yeah,
kind of drives this idea home is that terrain pieces have specific sizes. But the thing is,
classifications. Yeah.
you talk with your opponent at the beginning of a game and decide on terrain. So that could be just one more thing you agree on. It's like, is this small or is this medium? And you all decide that. You decide that before picking which side of the board, because maybe I've got extreme force throw Vader and I want to make sure I have ammunition for my slingshot. So
exactly.
But here's the thing: since no table is guaranteed to have barricades, for example, well.
Or do you say, hey, this card comes with 2 barricades? I'm sorry.
Right. That's exactly where I'm going. No, exactly. There was the last Prime we went to. They had they had fears that they might have had a shortage of terrain, so they said, optional rule: if both players agree, you can each place 2 barricades at the start of the game.
Yep.
And I was like, I hadn't heard of that actually happening ever, and I don't know if that's even legal.
Now, didn't the new update say that is how you do it now, or is it something? Am I thinking of something else?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I could be wrong. So let me know in the comments below if you've heard of that being an official thing. But here's the thing. I was thinking, well, maybe that should be a thing if something like that happens. And it should be before you choose your table sides and all of that other stuff.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I mean, and we've certainly done that a lot.
Oh yeah.
We've done that a lot, especially when we don't do it as much anymore because I have a lot more terrain. Yeah, I have a lot of terrain now. And always looking for more, by the way. If any of you guys listening out there have terrain you want reviewed, let me know, because I really enjoy reviewing terrain. So, that's fun.
I'm playing on it.
Yeah. All right. So, so that's what the idea is. Like, maybe if something like that happens, it may foster like a rules change that does allow players to place barricades at the beginning of the game, or maybe it could be just stapled to the card too.
Okay, here's an idea. What's the new divulged? Maybe you have a divulged command card that says, like, enhanced force abilities, and in it, if you divulge this, it allows you to place so many barricades or so and so based off. And that way it is, you don't. It's just a rule set in that divulged
this
card.
Way your opponent's also is like, oh, we're gonna be placing terrain, so I need to be very careful. Maybe I don't want to pick this side of the table because there's a lot of barricades over here.
Exactly, and that way, and that gives it. It's not just like a haha surprise, I got you with my force throw. It's, oh hey, I knew he divulged this to me. Now I have a thing.
That's a great idea.
So
So that's
rebuild.
So divulge is actually a good segue into the second part of what I want to talk about is Lando. Go ahead. No, we all right. I will. I'll pause. Go ahead.
So here, terrain. What I think would be really cool is not destructible, not like movable, threatening, deadly terrain. I want lava that hurts you. I want water, acid. Radiation. I want spinning freaking blades and
Oh yeah, so we had talked about this at one point, and I thought that's a brilliant idea, and it's something that you can homebrew very easily. But wouldn't that give new life to environmental gear?
Exactly. Environmental gear. It's an errata. Like, hey, you can ignore deadly terrain if you have environmental gear. And that's perfect. It's such a simple fix,
and you don't even have to errata environmental gear. That could just be the rule for deadly terrain.
Oh, there you go. Exactly. So man, because there's so many cool Mustafar maps. Like, I climb over the lava pit. I'm like, no,
really? Yeah. You could have, or you could even have 2 types of environmentally terrain. You could have, environmentally deadly terrain, and you could have physically deadly. So spikes, environmental gear wouldn't help, but it would help against ice. It would help against, lava. Or because the idea is it would be custom tailored for the specific environment. So if there's noxious fumes in this swamp, you're fine.
There you go. And it can be competitive. It can also be casual. I know, how many times you have a Hoth map, but in Sci-Fi City there was a snow map, and we always ruled the ice rivers. They're difficult terrain.
Because it's hard to you slip it. Even if the ice is stable, you're still slipping and sliding walking across it.
Exactly. Yeah. So, to me, terrain that you interact with in the sense of, okay, I can try to lure. Force throw. I force throw you into lava. Now you have to roll like 5 white dice for how many units you have. Oh, one of those guys got burnt. I mean, that makes
Oh my goodness, this is a good
or
idea.
hey, you lure someone in. Like, okay, you either panic this way or run this way, or you come at my Wookiees. There's.
Oh, it's a spider pit, and they make you panic.
Oh my god, that'd be so cool.
Spiders.
Or snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Oh my goodness, and that's amazing. Indiana Jones. Yes.
Yep. Thank you.
I love it. I love the idea. That's a fantastic idea.
I go through my future thing too, but like we'll talk about that later.
Well, there's I think it really drives home the point that I think when the game was first developed, it's certainly come a long way. And cards like environmental gear and grappling hooks, right? Were made from a point before they realized how terrain was was gonna become the norm for terrain. Heck, if you look at in the latest tournament regulation guide, there's a really, really bad pictures of tables set up with terrain, and I'm like, I would never, ever play on that table if I wasn't being forced to. They're terrible. But I mean, I think they just put something out there. They had probably a stock photo they had for reference, maybe from very, very early on before they knew what the game was going to kind of turn into.
But like the first Gen Con and like Adepticon or whatever, like the first tournaments was like people were saying, hey, these boards are not good.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so far from that.
At a certain point too, remember like the triple sniper meta became instantly, became like a mandatory
because
instantly.
You can see for miles and
nothing. There was no blocking stuff hardly anywhere. Whereas for us, I've always set up lots of blocking terrain, so I never really thought snipers were quite so crucial. Like they were useful but not mandatory because I run lots of line of sight blocking terrain. Maybe too much. I think I run more than most people.
I like it. To me, and terrain.
That's why your rebels do so good because they can hide.
Yeah, exactly. I can't complain too much, but and the idea is that this is if you're simply a battlefield and like. You could play like a simulation game where it's blocks and like there's just like the simulations with the clones where it's like it's bad 3D graphics kind of stuff, and that's technically a legal in the sense of like a battlefield, but it's not a fun battlefield. And that's why terrain is as much as part of the game as the units are.
I absolutely like terrain is what makes this game beautiful, and it's the thing that. Makes it stand head and shoulders above like Rune Wars, where Rune Wars was before Legion came out. Rune Wars had beautiful miniatures also. They were very fun to paint. Very fun army building, great mechanics, but its terrain was flat cardboard.
Yep. And like it had weird in garrison rule it didn't look right.
It was the stepping stone between X-Wing and Legion.
It absolutely was. And like Legion I think Legion could. I mean, if they revisited Rune Wars as a Legion type game, I would buy into it. I would.
I still have my Rune Wars stuff. I'm not getting rid of that because the minis are super cool.
Right? They are really cool. The golems. I remember the golems for the freaking human people were really neat, and the elves that came out later were great models.
Like, I think I did get rid of the cardboard though. I think I only kept the minis. I think that's the only thing. It's the only thing you really need.
Yeah, I think I did too.
I'm not gonna like play Rune Wars again. But okay. So you got anything else for terrain?
Talked about deadly. I think that's. I said my creature idea, but we'll talk about that in a future episode.
Yeah, so we got more creature stuff to talk about for sure. Definitely.
Okay, off topic creature wise, did you ever play a computer game where like you ran like it was Naboo, but you got to like place all the creatures and make like an ecosystem? It was like an educational, but no, I'm the only one. Shoot.
I played Pod Racer.
It was like Sims Life, but like Star Wars, and that's how I know all these animals.
Oh my, yeah. No, I just thought it's because you're basically I almost said xenophobe. That's not it.
Xenologist?
Xenologist, yeah. Xenophobe is totally different, right? It's like, what country are you from? Get away from me. Okay. No. Nope. Okay,
oh my God.
Let's talk about Lando. Because so I'm a big Lando fan. I named my third son Lando.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so I didn't think Lando would be enough really to make as a whole episode. So I kind of wanted to kind of put him on the tail end of this one because I think there's some fun ideas to get Lando into the game. And this is a good time to talk about it. You talked about Divulge. And I think that's definitely a mechanic Lando could use because he is a card player. And I've been thinking about Lando for a very long time because for a long time, one of the big problems with this game was, well, like when we saw that Rebel 1 pip, the generic Rebel 1 pip that came with the extras, was like, oh, you get to look at one random card in a person's hand. Like, who cares? I'm going to know exactly what you're... For the longest time, it was like, I know exactly what you're running. Oh, you're running Commander Luke, and then you know, triple ATRT, or I know you got all three of Luke's command cards, and I know you got the generic command cards. You know, I don't care. Well, the game's starting to get more command cards, especially with Operative Luke and Vader. So now there's starting to get some. There's starting to see some tough choices in cards. And this,
but it's still in some ways still predictable. Like,
they're
going to have these two. Most likely they'll have this one, maybe this one, but I can plan that.
Right. So, but as we get more versions of characters, it becomes a lot more difficult to predict what cards people are going to run. So that is, I think, a great opportunity for Lando to kind of come into the game and have an advantage when it comes to the card game.
Yes.
So I have a lot of ideas, related to Lando's card play, but also to Lando's abilities. So one thing I think you could do.
I want a bunch of capes on this model. I want some really cool capes.
Oh, I think there's doesn't every version of Lando have a cape?
I think it does.
I think so.
I mean, and it's canon that he has like a closet
full of capes, which could be another terrain expansion. Lando's closet full of capes. All right,
that would be amazing.
It could be. It'd probably be really bad, but yes.
It would be, but imagine like one little like objective marker was just like this one square, and like you can like lift the top of them as just capes.
And you magnetize them, so you actually put the cape on the unit, and he's a cape thief. Oh man! So this is the soundbite people are going to play when they're like, "This is why this podcast is hot garbage." All right. So here's the idea. He can break the mold, right?
Yes.
I don't think it was ever established like in the rules like that every expansion that has a commander has to come with exactly one pip, 1 2 pip, and 1 3 pip, right? Because hey, K2SO doesn't have a 1 pip, 2 pip, 3 pip, right?
ID10 doesn't either.
Right, so they just have one card each.
Mm-hmm.
So, in technically, Han Solo
Chewbacca has like weird versions too.
He's got a 1, 2, and a 3.
No, but I think he has like two. He has 2 1s or 2 2s.
No, he's got a 1, a 2, and a 3.
No, but he has an extra 3 with Luke because he has the Han and Chewie, and he has the Han and Luke 1.
And he's got a Han and Leia 1. There's his 1, his 2, and his 3. Chewie only has a 1, a 2, and a 3.
He doesn't have a 1.
Yeah.
He's a 1 pip?
Yeah, it's his 1. I'm pretty sure his 1 pip is his and Luke's. His 2 pip is his and Leia's, and his 3 pip is his and Han's. But the unique thing about his is that his 1 pip gives 2, still gives 2 orders.
Oh, okay, maybe that's it.
But the thing is, I'm thinking, well, maybe Lando comes with 2 1 pips, and maybe the lack of a 3, or maybe like a 3, or maybe Lando, or maybe Lando comes with like a 5 pip, but it counts as a 3 for list building. Kind of like how Han's. He stacks the deck. He's got 2 1s, but in a 5, right? Or something like that.
I want to throw this idea because talking about Lando a little, he kind of a little prepped up. What about a trading mechanic where Lando cheats, puts his card into the opponent's deck?
Well, the problem is they don't draw randomly.
Right. So you have to make a benefit to here's the thing. You take one of the opponent's cards and you replace it with yours.
Oh, and when they play that card, then they get their card back.
Yeah. No. I was just saying let's get rid. Actually, I wanted the whole get rid of it entirely.
Okay, so that's actually what I just described is more of like a hostage thing. Taking a hostage, which is all right. No, all right. So you're saying straight up trade cards. Like I know I'm going to give you this card. The problem is it has to be a card that's actually at least halfway good. It has to have some kind of it can't be standing orders. It's got to be
right. Yeah.
It's got to be at least a 3 pip that's like 3 any units and they all get a dodge or something like that.
Or you can say, hey, you show your opponent your hand without standing orders. They pick a random card from there, and they give you one of their random cards.
No, I don't like that.
They don't give you a random card. The card you give them is like the hey, swap hands or undercut deal, or then you call it undercut deal, and You give them the cards you want, but you just take a random one from
Oh,
them.
all right, all right. I'm going to modify this a little bit. I think
Okay.
I've got it. All right. It. Let's just say it's a decent card, right? I'm going to go
Yeah.
with the standard of like 3 pip and somebody gets a bonus tokens or something like that, right?
Right.
It's just, you give it to them. It has a special thing, like you take a random card from them. What they can do, they're going to know which card they don't have. They can opt during the command card. They can play this card. If you play this card during the command, you may. It's going to have the you may, because you can always play it normally. But you
Right.
may give it back to get your card back if it hasn't been played yet. Then maybe if you do, they get a different random card. So basically, the idea is they can be like, no, you took my Palpatine's 1 pip, and they can try and get it back.
Okay,
But
that's okay. There, that's a little bit more fair. Okay, I like that. See, I was just going like, I have one of your cards now, and you have a basic. It gives 2 units, and I was thinking it still gave Lando an order when you played it. Like even if have the card text saying like even if Lando is on the opposing team, give Lando an order token.
give
Like
all
kind of
Landos an order token
exactly.
face up. Oh, wow.
I like the idea. Like do I play this because it gives me a certain benefit, but then I still give Lando an order?
I don't know about giving all Landos. That almost seems like a cool mechanic that droids could maybe take advantage of. Like programming comes down and it affects them all, but like unless you have like cloning or something like that.
Or you know what you do? You could call Lando keyword gambler.
Mhm.
So give all gambler cards.
All gamblers, yeah. I get. All right, I could see that. I could see, or all units with and maybe the same thing that Han has. Maybe everybody with uncanny luck.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. So that's so different things you can do. I think in the same way that you're seeing with Cassian and Iden have their sideboard, right? How
Yep.
they can have their. I think
Oh.
Lando has a sideboard of command cards. Maybe he comes with
I love
6.
that.
Maybe he comes
That
with
makes
6. And you choose those at the beginning of the game. Oh, I'm going up against Palpatine. I need something to stop Palpatine's cards. I'll bring these.
Oh, that makes perfect sense because it's his little like under the sleeve kind of deck.
Sure. Yeah. And Divulge is a great, and he could have even bluff type cards too. So I like a lot of that. So I think Lando would have a lot of fun. I think his biggest strength, if you're going with Empire Strikes Back Lando, or maybe even solo Lando, is that he's a card player. And so his biggest impact to the game should be about the command cards because he's playing cards.
And like, I think about the idea like breaking that mold of like, hey, if you have Lando on your list, you can take 3 1-pips and instead of and replace it somehow.
Well, they can do that. They can already do that the way that they've done Han's 0 pip because the card itself will say this counts as a 0 pip for the purpose, or it counts as a 1 pip for purposes of list building, right? So like Lando, all of Lando's could be 1 pips, and one says counts as a 3 pip, one says counts as a 2 pip. That's a possibility also.
Yeah,
I don't know if you want to give him that many though.
I mean, I say if we're going with command cards, make it break it where he has this amazing command cards. Him as a unit, not so great. His command cards work well.
Maybe it's a deal where you have to play 2 command cards. You do one face up, and your opponent has to guess the pip that's underneath it. And if they guess correctly, it nullifies part of what you're playing. So you're doing a gamble each time, right?
You
got a 66% chance of winning, so you're kind of cheating, And it could be all of his cards have 2 effects. It's like Lando gets an aim. If they guess wrong, he also gets a dodge, right?
Okay, yeah, that's not too bad. Okay, yeah,
this way it's not like game breaking, but it's a bluff. Yeah. So all right. So I also want to talk about like how many versions of Lando. I think you got 3 distinct versions of Lando.
Okay.
And it's I
Solo?
think you've got Lando from Solo.
Yeah.
I think you got Lando from Empire Strikes Back. Those 2 don't have to. They could be the same version. One could be an alternate sculpt, maybe.
Yeah.
Or they could just, as the game gets long enough, they just like, hey, we want to do another version of Luke because we want more command cards for Luke. Like if once the game's been out for years, that may become a thing.
Okay.
But then I think the third one is and I think both of those versions of Lando we talked about would be operatives.
All right.
But I think you can also do Commander as General from
General
Return of the Jedi. Yeah. And Hayes obviously would be the Commander.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But here's a cool thing I think you can do with Lando. I think he can be the first character that has two counterparts. Because
Lobot?
Lobot and L3.
Oh, we don't know what happens to L3. Do we know what? Oh, she's in the Millennium.
Well, have you seen? If you haven't seen Solo, spoilers because
sorry,
L3's in the Solo movie. We're not going to spoil that. I mean, we don't need to spoil it really because it wouldn't have any game. But she dies, and well, not really. She doesn't completely die.
She lives on in the Millennium Falcon.
Yes. So yeah.
Forgot about that.
But yeah. So he had basically right. He had two counterparts, and they work really great. I mean, you don't have to run Lobot as a counterpart, right? He could be an operative or something. But I like the idea of Lobot as a counterpart.
You could even have his Bespin guard, and it's it's a unique unit that's entourage with him.
Oh no, the Bespin guard, I could see them being a core. If you're really looking for more core units, they were. That's how they were in Imperial Assault.
They look like fleet troopers for the most part, didn't they?
No, they had no, they had totally different. They had a completely unique look. They were all dark blue with a little bit of red trim.
Okay.
Yeah, and
but they had the same helmet. I thought they had the same helmet.
No, they have almost like a garrison cap that you would have in the army. You know.
Okay. Yeah, I remember the garrison.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't exactly that. It was like a cloth type of cap.
Okay. I had a helmet. Never mind then.
All right. Yeah. No, you're probably thinking of something else. I mean, there may have been multiple Bespin troops that I'm not thinking of, but basically, there were totally Bespin troops that could be core that could also come out with him. He could have entourage Bespin troops, maybe. I mean, who knows? But
definitely Lobot. Yeah, definitely Lobot or L3.
Yeah, I'd like to see. So, and this is why I think this Solo version shouldn't just be an alternate sculpt. I think it should be a whole different version of Lando because it does represent him in a very different part of time. He could even be the first one. He would be the ultimate card player. Would be Solo, young Lando Calrissian.
Yeah, because he was more of a businessman when he came to
right. He was more of a city administrator. So that and you could bill the Empire Strikes Back version as Administrator Lando Calrissian. Right. Yeah. Right, and the subtitles is how they differentiate those two.
Yep,
and then of course you've got
Charming Gambler as the Solo version,
and then you've got General Lando Calrissian, hero of the Battle of Teneb, because that's what they said. Like when they said Han's they made you a general. It's yeah, somebody must have told him about my little maneuver at the Battle of Teneb.
Oh man, I totally forgot about that. Sorry.
I'm a Lando. I hope I got the name right. I hope it was Teneb. I still don't know what the heck the Battle of Teneb was. I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was in 5 EU books, but since all that's wiped right now, I don't know what it currently is. But
yeah.
But my point is there's 3 distinct versions of Lando right now, and the 2 that are both going to be scoundrels would be a great opportunity to also include him with a counterpart. So I don't think you can. I think they have to be different, but you don't want 2 operatives at the same time. I mean, I guess you could probably make. You might be able to get away with making Empire Strikes Back Lando as a commander, because he was a city administrator.
Okay, I can see where we're going with that, but only because he was working both sides. It really lies on the operative side of it.
Maybe that's his thing. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe he's dual faction.
Yeah, or he has what's the keyword that K2SO has right now that you can't attack him?
The incognito.
Incognito. Maybe he has incognito.
Shoot, man, that could be really cool. The more I talk about it now, I think they need to do the Solo version first. Make a straightforward card player.
Much more of a gambler.
Yeah, and then all the other versions, they don't have to be as cool, but you're going to have so many command cards available by that time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. And he was through his entire life. He was always kind of a gambler, so you can always use his command cards. But
maybe some of his command cards depend on what abilities he has, too. Like, if you're running General Calrissian, you might not be able to play the card player swindler kind of approach because it may it doesn't have to be bound to a specific character, but like how you were talking about, everybody with uncanny luck gets this, right? Well, if this version of him doesn't rely on luck because he's trying to make a more serious approach, maybe you just wouldn't want to run that card.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's tough. And I think messing around with the command cards is something we haven't seen, and it could be. Besides Han's one card, and that is a great mechanic where you can stop a whole power round by just playing a 3-pip.
Well, you can stop 2 because Chewie's lets you get the 1 card back.
Oh, that's true.
So you can do
Exactly.
that. Yeah. Yeah, there's some. I mean, command cards are getting more and more interesting, and I think Lando is the ultimate gateway into making the command cards like the next level above.
Oh, okay. Hear about this? Oh, go with me. It is a Lando. It's a Lando expansion pack, but it's called the Crabbok expansion pack, where you have new generics for other units as well. So it comes with a bunch of command cards.
Yes. Oh. Comes with Solo Han Solo also. Comes with Operative Han Solo.
There we go. It's
got two operatives, lots of cards, and you can charge whatever you want because I'm gonna pay it.
Exactly.
I could see that being like a more expensive pack, probably like a $40 pack. You're getting 2 different units, you get a lot of cards and neutral stuff for all your regular units.
Yeah. And it's something you want to buy multiple times so they can kind of justify a little bit of that increase in price.
How about this?
All right.
How about the cards, the neutral cards it comes with? How about they aren't faction specific?
Yes. We absolutely need that.
Yes. So this way, clones, Empire, everybody has access to the same new 1, 2, and 3 pip.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think.
See, oh man, command cards could be its own, designing command cards, what they could do. Oh man.
Yeah. I think that's a subject for another episode because I think we are probably about out of time here. So I think we probably want to wrap things up. But yeah, this was good. A good discussion. Yeah. So what do you got going on in the future, man? Just sitting around?
Yeah, I'm working on a bunch of units right now. I have like a line of 23 guys I'm working on all at once. And
wow.
It's the necessary evil of miniature painting in terms of like armies. Like you have to get a bunch done of your like frontline units, but like it can get a little tedious.
Yeah.
So like I'm kind of step right now, breaking it down. Contrast paints help out a lot with it, and having a hero to work on like in between.
Changing it up, yeah. No, I it makes sense. I should have done that when I started with Legion, but I was one of these people that wanted to have everything painted and done like within 48 hours, so I could show up and start playing right away with a fully painted army. So I rushed through them. And now I'm stripping those same minis to redo them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's painting something like painting's always something you're getting better at. It's surprisingly, if you take a look at your earlier stuff, or like my earlier stuff too, like we've come so far from those first Legion figures. Both of us have.
Yeah, I think you've come a lot farther, but I've made some improvements, and a lot of it's been due to your help as well. So thank you for that.
No problem. But yeah, it's mainly just painting and playing games.
All right.
I still have to work, but they've cut back my hours a little bit.
Oh yeah, it's been rough, and I'm just glad to still be employed. I know a lot of people are not right now.
Yeah. So hey, if you guys,
hopefully things are,
what's the word I want? Condolences.
Yeah, absolutely. And big thanks to everybody that is working and making our society still going.
Yep.
That is awesome. All right, so next episode, I think one of the things that Sean and I are going to be doing is kind of looking at the movies, right? Mm-hmm. And so one of the things we're gonna do is we're gonna try and look at a movie and bring all of our Legion inspirations that come from a movie. It might be any movie, might not even be a Star Wars movie.
I know you run a Patreon. Maybe you give it up to your patron. Or
maybe the patrons will get to vote on what movie we do first.
Yeah,
that's a good idea. It's a great idea. I'll put that. Yeah. All right. That being said, let's go ahead and sign off. I want to thank you guys for listening to us. If you are watching on YouTube, you can also get us on Podbean and Apple Podcasts. And also, we'll be hosting these over on Crabbok.com as well. There'll be links to them there. Be sure to check out Sean's Instagram and Sean's YouTube channel, Prehistoric Painting, and yes, give him some love over there.
You guys have actually helped out a lot. I've got a lot more subscribers than I even thought I was ever going to get. So
it's awesome.
I appreciate it.
And if you want any Double Crit merch, we'll have links down in the description below. One of the new things that are the neck gaiters too, which are like the big face shield things, and I have the first one coming soon. So hopefully I'll have a little. Yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be a fun one. All right, I will talk. Yeah, we'll talk to you guys later. Thank you so much, and as always, have a great day.
Have a good one, guys.